Ramsey's stunning interview finish. Her home was where 6-year-old JonBenét Ramsey was murdered. 3 people lived in that residence. Right side of JonBenét Ramsey's skull broke. Did you baseball bet your sister in the head? Burke Ramsey recalls his sister. The murder of JonBenét Ramsey has captivated the globe for nearly 30 years, sparking innumerable hypotheses, documentaries, and unanswered questions. Finally, 28 years later, her brother has spoken. JonBenét Ramsey, 6. Her brother Burke is discussing this subject publicly for the first time, breaking this case's long-standing concealment. In a shocking disclosure, he reveals disturbing information, details that could change everything. Really, what happened that fateful night? Why talk now? The responses shocked everyone. The silence is unsettling. JonBenét Ramsey's death has endured as one of America's greatest mysteries for nearly 30 years. The case continues to evoke sadness, interest, and debate. Young JonBenét was 6. A blonde-haired, blue-eyed little beauty queen whose death was too dark to comprehend. Her death was sad and cloaked in terrifying silence and unsolved questions that shook a nation. The murder of 6-year-old JonBenét Ramsey grabbed the nation and exposed her family. On that freezing night following Christmas 1996, what happened? Who was accountable? Why is justice so elusive? Finally, over 30 years later, something long-awaited has happened. Someone connected to the case spoke. JonBenét's older brother Burke Ramsey has spoken out after 28 years of silence. His exclusive conversation with Burke Ramsey, John F. Ramsey's brother, was emotional and personal. In his late 30s, Burke shared his experience in the spotlight. Although his voice trembled, his words held years of bottled-up emotions, lasting anguish, and desperate attempts to make sense of a nightmare that began when he was 9 years old. That Christmas should have been spectacular. Instead, it became a scene no youngster should see. JonBenét was found deceased in their Boulder, Colorado basement the next morning. Burke still sees her little figure, the silent bewilderment, and the commotion that followed. He remembered seeing something odd about her eye on the white casket at her funeral, a detail so minute but so unpleasant that it stuck with him. He didn't grasp death's meaning. The next thing I remember is my dad telling me JonBenét is in heaven. His tears began. Then I cried. Burke stated he couldn't articulate his heartbreak. The loss wasn't the only thing that hurt over time. It was public suspicion. Many saw Burke as a suspect as well as a heartbroken brother. Why had he heard nothing that night? Him staying in bed? Why? Why did he awkwardly smile in the interview? Later, specialists decided such smiles were not guilty marks. Were reflexive. After years of emotional suppression and public scrutiny, coping mechanisms developed. Burke's smile when discussing something important is anxiety. Burke immediately and unwaveringly denied involvement in his sister's death when Dr. Phil questioned. Not at all. He confidently said he trusted his parents to manage things like a scared 9-year-old. In addition to his sister, the catastrophe took his youth, peace, and privacy to grieve. Through his speech, a long, muted chapter reopens with clarity, grief, and possibly healing. Let's examine the nightmare occurring. A nightmare after Christmas, December 26, 1996 was meant to be serene, still filled with Christmas spirit. The Ramsey home was calm under a lovely winter sky in Boulder's upscale neighborhood. As if time had stopped to celebrate, twinkling lights and decorations remained. JonBenét Ramsey, a 6-year-old with a radiant smile, lived in that home. The night before, her laughter filled the air as the family enjoyed their getaway. The next morning, that delight was gone. John and Patsy Ramsey felt odd when they woke up. Very wrong. There was no JonBenét in her bed. The covers remained unchanged, as if she had vanished. Then, they saw something terrifying. A scribbled ransom message covered the stairs. The nearly 3-page note had unusual words and a strangely precise demand. $118,000. Notice the 3 pages along a stairwell. The message demanded $118,000. John Ramsey's Christmas bonus was that much. It was no coincidence and shook them with horror. Patsy called 911, shaking and scared. She panicked, her words dripping with motherly desperation. Within minutes, police came, but the crime scene descended into chaos. Friends and neighbors entered the house. People explored rooms. Critical and irreplaceable evidence was touched, relocated, and maybe lost forever. As JonBenét remained gone for hours, uncertainty led to fear. Then followed a terrifying moment that would forever change American history. An investigator casually recommending John check around the house unwittingly caused heartbreak. John Ramsey discovered something no parent should ever have to confront in the basement. He discovered his daughter's corpse. She was on the floor, covered in a white blanket, with her mouth taped and wrists tied. The scene was horrific and gut-wrenching. John, in amazement, dragged her upstairs and screamed in sorrow. Even that act, fueled by tremendous pain, was eventually questioned. Investigators chastised him for disrupting the crime scene. That would affect the case for decades. After the murder inquiry, a media firestorm ensued. All kinds of accusations flowed. Police were criticized for mishandling the scene. The once perfect Ramsey's family was now shrouded in doubt. The case was one of the most puzzling and controversial in American history, full of tragedy, mistakes, and unanswered issues. Nearly 3 decades later, JonBenét Ramsey still evokes grief and speculation. A happy holiday transformed into one of the saddest chapters in real crime and a heartbreaking reminder of how fast innocence can disappear. Inside the house, what happened? Let's investigate a crime scene with more questions than answers. In the house. What happened in the Ramsey household on that terrible December night in 1996 remains one of America's greatest mysteries. The crime scene was a convoluted, contradictory conundrum from the start. A strange ransom letter scrawled on paper from inside the house was found on the stairway by police. Even stranger, the memo sought $118,000, John Ramsey's year-end bonus. That sum was personal and particular. The letter was exceptionally extensive and full of movie-like language and dramatic flair, almost like a script rather than a ransom demand. This message generated more questions than it addressed. Who writes a 3-page letter during a kidnapping? And why use family stationery? There was no evident break-in, making it even more confusing. No windows or doors were broken. Nobody seemed pressured or manipulated. However, 6-year-old beauty queen JonBenét Ramsey was viciously abused. The unsolved murder of 6-year-old JonBenét Ramsey captivated the nation nearly 3 decades ago. She had a head injury, was strangled, and showed abuse. A flashlight found in the kitchen may have hit her. The garrote was made from one of Patsy Ramsey's paintbrushes found in the residence. Some analysts suspected a stun gun was used due to JonBenét's body markings. If no one entered the house, who could have done such a horrific act? Natural suspicion turned inward. To family. A nation yearning for answers scrutinized the Ramseys. Their 9-year-old son Burke was also affected. Police questioned him kindly but persistently. Later released film shows Burke confused and scared, a child overwhelmed by terrible questions. Burke may have accidentally hurt his sister and his parents covered it up in panic. However, no bloodied object, confession, or forensic clue supported this assertion. But speculation kept the theory alive. The media soon portrayed John and Patsy Ramsey as suspicious. Their riches, calmness, and pageant experience made them easy targets. Previous beauty queen Patsy was accused of coldness and authoritarianism. John seemed cold and guarded, but friends described them as caring, loving parents saddened beyond words. They were more than sad. The world watched and criticized them as they fought to prove their innocence. John recalled Burke crying at a supermarket shop after seeing a tabloid accusing him of murdering his sister. This should never be on a youngster. The family tried to maintain normalcy, but their world was devastated. House was a crime scene. The media never stopped asking questions. Public curiosity persists after decades. Was it stranger? Family member? Accident? Or something worse? Theories swirl. The truth is kept secret, possibly forever. So why did JonBenét's story make headlines? Who was she? Take a look at JonBenét Ramsey's innocent little daughter. In busy Atlanta, Georgia, JonBenét Patricia Ramsey was born on August 6, 1990. Her name, a combination of her parents' names, JonBenét Ramsey and Patricia Patsy Ramsey, symbolizes their love for their daughter. Her father, John, was no ordinary businessman. He was a successful CEO who made his money with Access Graphics. Her mother, Patsy, was famous. She was Miss West Virginia 1977. You entered beauty contests. Yes, a crown that matched her beauty, charm, and confidence. So it's no wonder that JonBenét the child would excel on stage. The Ramsey family moved to Boulder, Colorado, in 1991 after John's company merged with Lockheed Martin. New beginnings and lifestyle upgrades came with the move. They moved into a beautiful 15-room estate in an upmarket area 30 miles from Denver, symbolizing their success and social status. JonBenét's family had several children. She shared the house with her older brother Burke. John has 3 older half-siblings from his previous marriage, Elizabeth, Melinda, and John Andrew. By the time JonBenét was born, the older children had left home. Tragically, Elizabeth died in a 1992 vehicle crash 2 years after JonBenét's birth. Everyone noticed JonBenét from a young age. She was smart, outgoing, and charismatic. Patsy entered her daughter in beauty contests, drawing from her own pageant experience. And JonBenét thrived on stage. She swiftly became America's Royal Miss, Little Miss Colorado, and National Tiny Miss Beauty with her golden locks, sparkling clothes, and confident presence. She stole hearts and turned attention everywhere. She was a small girl behind the tiaras and awards. In kindergarten at High Peaks Elementary School in Boulder, she was lovely, energetic, and loved by her peers and teachers. Her parents adored her at home. She lived comfortably, with love, privilege, and opportunity under the Ramseys. They owned a luxurious Colorado home and a picturesque northern Michigan vacation home. However, wealth and popularity may have drawn unwanted attention. In a world where beauty and money draw more than adoration, JonBenét's glamorous youth attracted danger as well as praise. A few months after a wonderful Christmas party in 1996, a terrifying tragedy shook the nation for decades. Was justice served to the family? Did investigations halt? Let's explore the family's relentless pursuit of justice and truth. The murder of JonBenét Ramsey remains unsolved. Her father, John Ramsey, has always fought for justice. Every word he speaks reflects his fury, sadness, and disgust in the legal system. He believes law enforcement betrayed his family from the start by focusing on the Ramseys instead of the evidence. He claims that tunnel vision left them ignorant to other options and may have prevented them from finding the perpetrator. John believes early investigations were rife with errors. Instead of widening their search, investigators stuck to a story. Some of those who led the botched inquiry now run the case. John is shocked. Why haven't fresh experts been hired? Why hasn't the case been reevaluated with new tools, minds, and technology? He reveres Patsy. She died in 2006 without knowing who killed their daughter. She was exhausted by mistrust and stress. No tranquility accompanied her death. John mourns her as a wife and a mother wrongfully condemned. John has never given up hope that DNA testing and forensic technology will solve the case. He hopes new evidence, someone will come forward, or someone in authority will finally look at the issue objectively. For JonBenét to give her the justice she never received, not for revenge or public praise. The public is captivated. It may be JonBenét's vision as the perfect child, resplendent in pageant costumes. Maybe it's the case's layers, money, beauty, suspicion, and grief. The hope that even the coldest instances may find light may be more straightforward. Today, JonBenét would be almost 35. Instead of celebrating her birthday, the world mourned a prematurely deceased girl. Her name evokes mystery and tragedy. Even if the likelihood is minimal, her story could finish with truth rather than grief. Kevin Burke's voice finally joining the conversation and John Ramsey still demanding answers. The JonBenét Ramsey narrative is reviving. It goes beyond tragedy. It is now also about a family that refuses to be forgotten and a battle for justice that never ends. How did the world react to the case? Explore popular opinion on JonBenét Ramsey's execution, the spectacle, and the cost of suspicion. The day after Christmas 1996, 6-year-old JonBenét Ramsey was found dead in her family's basement, shocking the nation. The pain of a mourning family gave way to a media frenzy that turned grief into gossip within days. The press pounced on the case while police struggled. A stunning portrait of JonBenét in pageant costume, thick makeup, bright lipstick, and a sparkling tiara made headlines worldwide. One photograph started a global fury. It wasn't simply about a slain child anymore. It was a spectacle. Questions came from everywhere. Did JonBenét get exploited? Was her beautiful pageant life her mother's unrealized dreams? Was the Ramsey family's polished image hiding something darker? Reporters and tabloids were forthcoming. Talk shows disputed her parents' motives. Newscasters examined every interview, gesture, and remark by John and Patsy Ramsey. Their grief was analyzed as a performance. Their dress, tone, and facial expressions were clues, not mourning signals. Pressure on the police increased with public skepticism. However, some investigators seemed intent on blaming JonBenét's family rather than investigating all available leads. Inconsistencies in Ramsey's behavior were their focus instead of new trails. That this case is solvable. You may be evading police, but God knows who you are, and we will find you. However, veteran homicide detective Lou Smith disagreed. Lou was an independent specialist who had solved over 200 murders. He always thought the evidence didn't support a family crime. Indications of a break-in and a botched kidnapping suggested an outside intruder. But Boulder Police's instructions contradicted his theory. Lou Smith left the investigation frustrated by resistance. But not before. Building a strong case that was ignored. Years passed with the Ramsey family under suspicion. In 2006, a turning point came too late for some. Patsy Ramsey, JonBenét's mother, died of ovarian cancer that year under public scrutiny. A powerful hint was found shortly after by forensic technologies. JonBenét's outfit has mysterious male DNA. It did not match Ramsey family members. With this information, the case changed again. The Ramseys were cleared. The district attorney publicly apologized for missuspecting and mistreating the couple. However, John Ramsey was damaged. No apology could erase years of suffering or restore dignity. Patsy was vindicated too late. She died without finding her daughter's killer. One of America's most haunting unsolved mysteries is scarred by the media storm and poor inquiry. Hope returned almost 2 decades after the tragedy. What gave hope? Did it succeed? Find out. Battle for Truth. Criminal investigations changed drastically in 2018. Genetic genealogy solved the Golden State Killer's identity after decades. The lab sends the genealogy team a DNA sequence. GED match and family tree DNA get our uploads. A groundbreaking blend of DNA research and family tree mapping provided cold case victims' families nationwide hope. John Ramsey watched intently. John had struggled with unresolved questions about his 6-year-old daughter JonBenét's death for over 2 decades. He thought, might tracking distant relatives utilizing public DNA databases help solve JonBenét's case after seeing how detectives revealed a 1970s predator? This possibility inspired John to explore modern forensic science, visiting genetic labs and consulting DNA experts like C.C. Whatmore and Dr. Ellen Greatoch taught him was astounding. Today's systems analyze millions of data points to generate accurate family trees, identify unknown suspects, and make identifications no traditional database could. John felt this as their best opportunity at justice, possibly their last. However, Boulder police blocked it. Despite the promise of this cutting-edge research, the police withheld the remaining DNA evidence. Despite John's pleas and petitions, the department did nothing. Hidden behind bureaucracy was the data that may reveal the truth. Hope lingered in peaceful areas. Cindy Mara, daughter of late investigator Lou Smith, took over the case. She took DNA from every suspect her father evaluated. Like her father, she thought JonBenét's killer was alive. Her options were limited without the entire DNA profile. John Ramsey, older, remarried, and grieving, refuses to give up. He will battle to the end for JonBenét's justice. Because no parent should bury a kid under suspicion. Because the truth counts after all these years. John cried when asked what he'd tell his daughter. He apologized not for what he did, but for failing to protect her and arrest her killer. Most importantly, he told her she was loved. J.B. Ramsey was more than a magazine cover or a tiara-wearing toddler. She was vibrant, and her story deserved a good finale. Truthful, just, and peaceful. What do you think about JonBenét's strange death and poor investigation? We want to hear your comments below. Remember to like and subscribe.